And welcome back to another episode of Next Round Sports. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Sorry, we had to take a week off last week and had to get some personal things all attended to and taken care of. But we're back, ready to go for another exciting podcast of great sports talk. We just finished up week 4 in the NFL, and that's actually where we're going to be starting today. Before we get started to that, I want to thank bringing my partners in crime. Jeff Amos, Caleb Culver. How you doing tonight, gentlemen?
Doing good.
Buenas
Go
noches.
Rangers.
Yes.
Yep, go Rangers. And we're going to get into the Rangers later on here in the podcast as they did get the series sweep in the playoffs here against Tampa Bay. But we'll get, like I said, we'll get to that here a little bit.
Meantime, we're going to start with the Cowboys' complete thumping of the Patriots.
And I've got my 90s retro Cowboys hat on here to celebrate that. Great win by the Cowboys against the Patriots. I mean, it is the worst loss that Bill Belichick has ever suffered in his head coaching career. That's enough said at that point. That a nice rebound game, especially after, which we weren't able to talk about last week, but after that loss to the Cardinals, which in our private conversations to each other, I even said, hey, they overlooked that game. They overlooked the Cardinals. The Cardinals were 0-2. They looked like trash. Everybody thought they're just losing to get Caleb Williams, and they overlooked them. And that's the thing is that they can't. When you overlook a team like that, which that happens, it happens anytime during the season. You overlook an opponent, you play down to them, and they did. And then they came back out and made it a statement, scoring 2 defensive touchdowns. The defense looked pissed, and they played pissed. And they came out and showed.
They should have been pissed.
They should have been.
I would say
the way they played against Arizona.
What led into that bad performance, I think part of it is Tavon Diggs that's his first game he was out. Because there was a couple of miscommunications that also led to some big plays, and also Mike McCarthy cannot manage a freaking time clock.
No, he can't. We've all said that before. No, he can't.
Yeah, but I don't care if Trayvon Diggs is not playing. I don't care if his backup isn't playing. They should have kicked the Cardinals' ass.
Yeah, there was no just because one cornerback is out. That doesn't mean that Micah Parsons shouldn't have been tearing through that offensive line like wet tissue paper.
Oh, no, I agree.
Trayvon Diggs is good.
It's just
Trayvon Diggs is good, but he's not the heart of the defense. He's not.
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying that's another reason why I feel like it was.
Well, to me, that was used as a crutch. Oh, it was Trayvon Diggs' first game out. That was a crutch that was being used. And the way the defense played against the Patriots, I think that they heard that and they didn't want it to be used as crutches. No, we are still a dominant defense. We lost a guy, Dex Manna.
Is Micah Parsons okay? Because he was kind of limping around that field.
He was, but I think he'll be all right.
He's fine. I have not heard.
There has not been any big stories. There hasn't been any big worries. I listen to the Dallas Sports Radio all during the week when I'm at work. I haven't heard of any rumblings of any.
He was in and out with limping, so it's probably like a minor sprain, maybe of tops. But
I haven't even heard any whispers. I don't think there's going to be any. There's not going to be any issues other than the injury to Diggs that going into the San Francisco game on Sunday.
But I do want to congratulate Diggs backup DaRon Bland, who stepped in, got another interception return for a touchdown, and kid's been playing on fire. I'm glad he's taking advantage of the opportunity. He's had, I think, what was the stat I heard? He has more interceptions, in the last couple of years than anybody else has. I can't remember exactly the stat right off the top of my head, but I heard something along that.
I believe it's something like 7 interceptions in the last 17 or 18.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing, something like that, which is leading the league during that time. So I mean, the kid's playing lights out. Good for him.
Right. I mean, he started probably, if not for Gilmore in the way.
Yeah, probably. It also too. This team is I enjoy him being out there much more than, say, Jordan Lewis, for example. It's just light and.
Well, there's a reason why they traded Jordan Lewis over to Miami and got rid of him. I mean, Jordan Lewis had his opportunities. He did not take advantage of them, and as much potential as I saw with him, that it had been squandered. Jordan Lewis needed to find a new team, and they were ready to move on from him. It wasn't the right fit, and I wish the best for him as well. We talked about that when that trade happened. Hey, wish the best for him, but this just wasn't the place for him, and he got moved out of there. But DaRon Bland has really, really looked good, and the defense just. What can you say? They look phenomenal. I'm really happy because we don't get to talk about it that much because he has been doing well, except for people wanting to maybe get rid of him. But Leighton Vander Esch able to score a touchdown and actually contribute. And I say that, but he's out there every single play, and to me, he's kind of filled that Sean Lee role of the old veteran linebacker now, who you want him to not be injured, but he's still serviceable. He's out there. He doesn't need to rush the passer. That's not what he's good at. But he's a pretty damn good defender in that linebacker role.
He knows where to be in coverage, and he's a solid tackler.
You don't want him covering a number one, but you put him on the tight end.
A linebacker covering the number one.
No, but you get him on the tight end, you feel pretty safe with him. But on a tight end or a fullback or running back out in coverage, you feel pretty good about that. And to see him get that scoop and score and get the touchdown in, it was good to have something good for Leighton Vander Esch, where you don't really hear his name very often. It's all Micah Parsons or, DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah, or Diggs. Somebody else.
Well,
but he's, like you said, he's a central cog.
Dude, you got to get over Diggs being out.
That's fine. I'm over it already.
No, you keep.
No, you're not. You keep bringing his name up.
Because people are going to bring his name up as one of the top players on this defense.
But DaRon Bland was fantastic on Sunday.
You know what? Just for you, no, he wasn't. He played horrible, Jeff. Just for you.
No,
he was good. I know.
About it. He was great.
Being salty.
Mac Jones. You want to talk about a guy that potentially ended his career? That performance on Sunday was atrocious. And somehow the first time he got away with throwing across the field, and it's like, oh, I'm going to do it again. And DaRon Bland was like, no, you're not, motherfucker. And then he picks that ball off and runs back for a touchdown. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was it for him because they put in Bailey Zappi
after
that.
They did put in Bailey Zappi after that. And Zapp could not do anything as well.
Oh, no. No, he couldn't.
I mean,
there's nothing he could do.
It's this defense.
Well, that's the thing. That's what this defense excels in, is getting a lead. Once they get a lead, they pin their ears back and they just go after the quarterback. It doesn't matter. Even if you try to run, they're already all jamming up the middle, and they do that when they have a lead. When they don't have a lead, they play a little bit more conservative. They don't get after it. But that's where this defense is very successful. If they can get some turnovers, the offense can get some easy points, and they get a 10 to 14 point lead. That's why these games get out of hand when that happens, is because the defense pins their ears back. Micah Parsons runs wild like a axe-wielding Viking running right through the middle of the line, and they're able to get to cause these quarterback pressures, get the sacks, catch the running back in the backfield because they're already in the backfield because they've already got the offensive line back on their heels. But that's what is going to help Dallas pushing forward through the rest of the season. It's still early. There still could be injuries that could happen. There's a lot of things that could happen in between now and the rest of the season. We just finished week 4. We're only a quarter of the way through the season. But that's what Dallas needs to do, is they play better when they have the lead, because the defense is then able to pin their ears back, let loose on that defensive front.
Right.
Which then helps the defensive backs back on the back end.
Oh, for sure. Because you limit the amount of time they've got to cover. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that's why I'm excited for your next matchup too.
Well,
because this is going to be a prime time game.
It is. Sunday Night Football against the undefeated 49ers, and they've been playing lights out. Like the 49ers, you ask anybody who's ranking their top 5, the 49ers are number 1. Everybody has the 49ers as number 1. And I can't argue with them.
Right.
They're
It's
playing
hard to- I mean,
lights
Christian
out.
McCaffrey's playing lights out. That defense, Brock Purdy's being, one of the
Brock
greatest
Purdy.
game journals of all time. But yeah,
Well, he's being a bus driver, but he's being like a top tier bus driver. Like he's not.
Yes.
He's playing smart, but he's also making great plays on top of that. He's not just dinking and dunking it. He's actually making a good throw out there. He's doing a great job being a game manager, and even on top of it,
don't forget about
Really?
I'm gonna butcher the guy's name, but there's Deebo Samuel and Ben Ajuka. Also,
Ben Ayuk.
crazy like
Ayuk.
wildcat wide receivers. Ayukas.
yes,
Being like crazy wildcat receivers out there.
they have one of the best offenses in the league. They're not Miami good, but they're a great offense. But Miami's like on an unworldly level right now. We'll talk about that later. But at the same time, I don't think San Francisco has seen a defense to Dallas's caliber to this point. Now, Dallas also offensively has not seen a great defense. They played, and I think Brock Purdy coming up is probably going to be the best quarterback they've played against up to this point. Because Daniel Jones, trash. Giant fans hate me. He's trash, and all the people, especially Tiki Barber, who said he would take Daniel Jones over Dak Prescott 100 out of 100 times. I'm sorry. No, Daniel Jones is trash, and it's been proven too many times the way they've been blown out. At least two, not three of these weeks. Oh, he's a complete idiot. Rondé is always the better of the twins in those two, and that shows exactly why. Rondé was always smarter and better than Tiki.
Agreed.
Yes.
Fight me. I don't care. But, okay, yeah, Daniel Jones, trash. You ended up going against Zach Wilson on 1 week being prepared. But still, even as Zach Wilson was fully prepared, he's still not. He looked good. He looked good there against the Chiefs. Maybe they've got something going on. But at that time,
by far his best game of his career on Sunday night.
It was. And actually, speaking, as we all know, my wife is a Jets fan. Whenever Aaron Rodgers comes back, which I did hear an inkling that he was saying that he might be ready in January. Maybe because of his crazy witch voodoo or something, it's going to help make his leg better, his ACL better by January. But regardless of that, as we were watching Hard Knocks, he was in the ear with Zach Wilson, helping kind of tell him stuff in the line. If Aaron Rodgers is able to go ahead and come back, be on the sideline with the team, could that help Zach Wilson moving forward?
I still think Zach Wilson's garbage. He can have a decent game every now and then, but to me, him and Daniel Jones are 1A, 1B. I don't want him anywhere near my team. As far as being my starter.
I don't want him anywhere near my team, but we don't have to worry about that. That's what the Jets have to worry about right now. Is that who are you going to get better than him right now? They picked up Jeff's boy, Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, Mr. 7 interception game, Trevor Siemian.
No, but at this point, the Jets have.
But what's it saying that they picked Trevor Siemian up over Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz?
Yeah, because Zach Wilson is by far a better option than those two right now.
He's a better athletically
because Matt
overall,
Ryan and Carson Wentz can't fucking move.
Yeah.
So the Jets have no choice but to stick with Zach Wilson, and then they'll finish out the year with him. And assuming they'll probably go somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 wins, 5 wins, 7 wins, then they'll cut him loose. And so that's that.
Well, and that's the discussion for another day is Aaron Rodgers going to come back for another season?
Right, but I want to go back to
that's for another season. But we're back. We're getting
back
off
to the 49ers.
We're going off a rabbit hole right now. We need to get away from that.
I want to go back to this, back to the Cowboys 49ers game in particular, because once the 49ers got Christian McCaffrey, this team took another level offensively, and it almost got them to the Super Bowl. And if Brock Purdy doesn't go down, who knows? They could have possibly beat Philadelphia in that game. Maybe not, but they certainly would have been a hell of a lot more competitive. And
definitely, yeah.
And to me,
it made him very one-dimensional at that point because that took out Brandon Ayuk. Debo, they could have still ran, but you knew it was either him or McCaffrey running the ball. They weren't going to throw the ball.
Right. And also, too, you mentioned Brock Purdy being the best game manager. It kind of reminds me of what Dak was his rookie year in Dallas.
When he took over for Romo.
In 2016.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't make mistakes, but yet if you relied on him to make plays, he'd make those plays for you. So that's what Brock Purdy is doing right now.
Kind of the same thing Romo did when Bledsoe went down.
Exactly. And so to me, and again, look, Cowboys they can say all the right things, but they've been circling this game all summer long, all off season long to play San Francisco again. And this game is going to come down strictly, in my opinion, between the quarterback performance of Dak Prescott versus Brock Purdy. It's going
against these defenses, exactly. I agree with you.
Yeah. So it's going to be the
this
guy.
Also at the 49ers home game.
I know that, but what I'm saying is it's going to be between those guys. Which one makes a mistake and which one doesn't? Because I guarantee you, there's going to be one big play in that game that's going to decide the game, just like a lot of these games are. But this one in particular, and it's going to come down to the quarterback that doesn't make a mistake. And so what Dak needs to do, and this is what's scary kind of, because he might be having flashbacks of last year. He just needs to still be confident in himself, not force any plays, but at the same time, you can't be super conservative either and do these dink and dunk passes to Jake Ferguson all day. Because at some point, you're going to have to hit CeeDee Lamb deep. You're going to have to hit Brandon Cooks deep. You're going to have to. That's also going
to take them getting open
too.
That offense is those wide receivers are going to need to get themselves open, and you do need to soften it up. And Tony Pollard, what hurt last year was Tony Pollard going down. When Tony Pollard went down, that made them very one-dimensional. And Tony Pollard needs to have a great game. He needs to come out and put his stamp on this game as, hey, this is the reason why we lost last year, because I wasn't here and I'm doing it. Now, I'm happy that this matchup is coming early in the season because teams still are figuring out who they are right now. Right. Everyone's still figuring out what team they are, who they are. And I see you looking like that, Caleb, but that's true. Until about 6 to 8 weeks in the season, we don't really know who these teams truly are. We're going to see some teams blossom later on that come through that. So to me, I'm glad this game is happening now because, okay, let's say the Cowboys win this game and win it by a field goal. Or say the 49ers win it by a touchdown. Everyone in the world is going to talk about, oh, the Cowboys can't do this. Cowboys can't do that. Or the 49ers can't. Oh, the 49ers finally came up against somebody. It doesn't really matter what's happening here in week 5 because you can move on and keep going, as we saw with the Cowboys move on from the loss to Arizona when everybody, it was gloom and doom. We lost to Arizona, and then they came out and gave Belichick the worst loss of his entire career. Things can move on. It's a good test early in the season. It's a good test because this is the best team in the league. How do you match up to the best team in the league at this time? And how then can you change for the next 12 weeks of the season?
Because what do you need to improve on?
Because it looks like these two teams will probably match up in the playoffs. And when they get to the playoffs, it's going to be maybe 13, 14 weeks from now. They are going to be two different teams at that point than what they are when they match up this week. So it's a good litmus test. Let's see how we are at this point. Where do we how do we match up now? But then what are we going to do? Now, the Cowboys go in and say this is week, 14. and you go against San Francisco and you get your brains beat in. Then you meet them in the playoffs. You already know who you are. That's pretty much what's going to happen at that point. But whatever happens in this matchup, there's a lot of time for these teams to grow, whatever happens, whether the win or the loss. There's a lot of growth or decline can happen as this season progresses due to maybe injury, due to what have you. So it's a good litmus test to see what's going on. How does your team stack up at this point, and what do you need to work on? So,
yeah,
as long.
Go
ahead.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, as long as the Cowboys don't get beat 35-3, then okay, I feel good. Even if they lose by a field goal.
Even if it's an Arizona style game, you feel good.
Yeah. Even if you lose early, I'm not, throwing out the surrender flag for the season, because you've got, you still have time. You still have a chance to rebuild from that, and you have a chance to learn from this, and you've gone against them once, so now you know what to prepare for later on. Where did you lack at that point? What places did you succeed at that you can exploit better? There's time to learn from that. So as long as it's not a complete annihilation like the 70-20 2 weeks ago, what the Dolphins did to, who was it again?
Oh, the Bears, yeah.
To the Bears.
I mean, not the Bears, Broncos.
Not Bears. To the Broncos. To what the Dolphins did to the Broncos. As long as it's nothing like that, I think you don't really have anything to worry about if you lose to the 49ers, and you lose to them by a touchdown. Maybe a touchdown at the end of the game, you lose to them. Like McCaffrey muscles 3 people away and runs for 20 yards and scores a touchdown, or they kick a game-winning field goal at the end of the game. You don't have anything to hang your head about that, because it's still early in the season that you're able to learn from your mistakes and to move that in and motivate you then into the playoffs. But yes, as you said earlier, the Cowboys have had this game circled since last season. When they faced the Jets, they said this, because Saleh was the former defensive coordinator for the 49ers.
Like, there we go.
This is the defense that we were looking against, because it's the closest thing to the 49ers. They keep talking about the 49ers. This is the game they have circled. This is the game that means the most to them. The thing is, they need to keep that mentality that if they do lose this game, they need to learn from it and build to it so they don't lose in the playoffs. I would rather lose to San Francisco now and beat them in the playoffs than beat them now and lose to them in the playoffs.
Oh, of course.
Oh, for sure. And also, too, both of these teams, both San Francisco and Dallas, they both kind of have the stigma right now. Yeah, they're 7-1 combined, but they haven't played anybody yet. Now that both of these teams have the ability to not only convince themselves, but the rest of the league and the country as well, that, hey, we're a damn good football team. Don't judge us based on the shit that we played so far. We're really freaking good, and we're ready to go. So,
and again, I'm excited to see it being on Sunday night in prime time. The NFL is licking its chops, just waiting for this game to go. They've been waiting for this game to come all season, just like the Cowboys have been waiting for this game all season, because they know that all eyes will be on the TVs for this Sunday night game.
And I know you hate Collinsworth. I know y'all both hate Collinsworth, but it's just like
yes, we do, because he's terrible.
But like he said, if it was up to NBC, they'd have the Cowboys every single fucking week. So
absolutely. I still think Collinsworth has something on the NBC executives. I really think he has some videos of them on Epstein's Island or something. I don't know, but it's something like that, because there's no reason that man should still be working.
Long live Collinsworth.
Stop it. I'd rather go with Uncle Tom Tirico anytime.
Oh,
sorry, that was bad. I should have said that. I think I broke Jeff.
You did.
I love you, Mike Tirico. You're awesome.
Good man.
He's a very good man. He's amazing. I love Mike Tirico. I love that he's now doing the Olympics. since he's now
Yeah,
NBC.
he's good. He's good.
I love Tirico. I love Tirico and Gruden back on Monday Night Football. That I thought that was fantastic at that time. So I'm glad they have Tirico, but they got to get rid of Collinsworth. Collinsworth is so bad. Like he's really bad. He's worse than Romo. When Romo is over explaining stuff. My wife still hates Romo. Still hates him.
Of course she does. She's a Jets fan.
I told her she's like, no, I hate his voice. No, you hate him. Anyways, I digress. All right, so we know what the Cowboys need to do, and we know about the game right there. Caleb, let's talk about your Baltimore Ravens and the stomping that they put on Cleveland.
Yeah, a very surprising game too. But like you said, I think this is another team that had a loss against the Colts the week prior.
Rough loss.
Really
I watched that one.
Yeah,
that game was surprising that they lost to the Colts, especially after Richardson went out.
Yeah, they failed in every facet of the game. Coach Harbaugh was trying to get to let his receiver know to catch the ball when they added more time to the clock for the 2-minute warning. He's like, don't catch it. Why didn't he use 2 of his timeouts he had at the time if he was really worried about telling him that? Justin Tucker missing the 61-yard field goal. Just penalties.
It's a 61-yarder. It is a 61-yarder, but I know you shake your head because it's Justin Tucker, and that's normal. He missed a 61. That son of a bitch. He always makes 61-yarders. Come on.
Right. What a grateful jackass!
You have gotten too accustomed
to
you have gotten way too accustomed to how great Justin Tucker really is, because he is probably the best kicker we've ever seen.
Yes, he is. He is.
UT alumni. He is a Longhorn. He is.
True. But yeah, like we were saying, like I think it was just that loss, and it motivated him. And even Roquan Smith came out angry at the press conference. He's like, I don't need bulletin board material. I'm going to go out there and hit somebody. Well, it was basically his comments. And I mean, Roquan Smith had a phenomenal game too.
I don't want to be hit by Roquan.
Oh, no. I mean, he had 10 total tackles, 2 pass deflections, a QB hit, 6 solo tackles. I mean, phenomenal game monster by him and that defense overall. And I mean, we had that rookie QB. I guess we should say Deshaun Watson didn't start because of a rotator cuff injury. So that we had a rookie QB to feast on.
You had a rookie QB to go after. And honestly, it seemed like with this game that even the coaching staff was expecting Deshaun Watson to play. And it kind of threw it. Like, the Browns looked like they were completely off guard, that they did not expect to start this rookie. Like, I think they were going into the game to start Watson at the last second. It was 11th hour. Boom. Oh, I can't go. And I don't think they had a game plan other than that. That's what it looked like to me. Not to downplay what Baltimore did defensively, because I think they played a fantastic
QB,
game.
Like I said, they killed that QB. They sacked him 4 times, intercepted him 3 times, and he fumbled once.
Yeah, but
horrible game.
Thompson Robinson
held the whole Browns overall to 166 yards.
Okay, but I'm not business playing quarterback.
I'm now downplaying what he did. Defensively, it was a great game. Yeah, I just don't think Cleveland expected.
Game and then
I thought they were going to play Deshaun Watson, and I think the rookie even was like, "Yep, I'm just going to be here watching, and I'll be ready to play him eventually one day." And then it was like, you're playing, and I think he was a deer in headlights, like, whoa, like
exactly.
And Baltimore like saw that.
And Baltimore
saw him deer in headlights
on rookie QBs, and we've had a crazy lucky streak of having so many rookie QBs face us early this year.
And let's not forget that they don't have Nick Chubb anymore. They didn't. I mean, they have no source of offense right now, and their offensive line isn't particularly good either. So, I mean, again,
Ford was
congratulations.
Just non-existent.
Ford was not able to do anything. I know that because I picked him up in fantasy, so he was not able to do anything for me. And that's
I mean, they still rushed for 93 total rushing yards, but the Browns did out of their 166. So the only way they were moving it on moving the ball.
But how many attempts did they rush it on? That's the question. How many rushing attempts did they have?
There you go. But no. So I mean, injuries are still kind of the way of the game of the Ravens and what we look for right now too. Because you had Marcus Williams, Marlon Humphrey, Ronnie Stanley, Bateman, Odell, and David Ajoba and Odafe Owe missed this game. That's a lot of players to miss the game.
That's a lot of good players that missed that game.
Yeah, that's a lot of starters. So, I mean, to take that in and next man up come through as well as they did, I think was good showing by them, even with just the rookie QB.
At the end of the day, you won a game you were supposed to win, and you did it against a divisional opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's at the end of the day,
3-1. That's what we needed. Hey, at the end of the day, like you said.
At the end of the day, I can't shake a stick at that. I mean, come on. Hey, I won a divisional opponent, and I played against a rookie quarterback who probably wasn't expected to be in there, but you still went in there and you took care of business like you should. Mm-hmm. You didn't lay down to it, go, oh, what's a rookie quarterback? Yeah, we don't have to play that hard. We got this. Because then he could have came out and surprised you. No, you went in there and you thumped him and said, welcome to the NFL, rookie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that John Harbaugh does is, hey.
Yeah, he likes to thump a rookie.
He does.
But and I mean, another unfortunate injury, too, we had is Morgan Moses go down. We're waiting on an MRI result, so we still don't know officially what he has. It's believed to be minor, but that's our starting right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, our left tackle's out. Our center has been injured at least 2 games this year. He started this game, but then, I mean, if our right tackle goes down, this is going to be a crazy mess all over again a little bit. But
so using that as a segue, how concerned does that make you into this week's game going up against Pittsburgh and TJ Watt?
Honestly, not. I mean, they're going to handle this.
Really? You're not afraid of TJ Watt?
I'm not afraid of TJ Watt. I mean, he's going to get pressure. He's going to get his hits. Don't get me wrong. The guy's phenomenal. But at the end of the day, you got Lamar Jackson's scrambling ability. I think that neutralizes some of TJ Watt's ability to effectively rush. And based on practice, he's going to know how his O-line's reacting to him. And this is being a very balanced attack. So TJ Watt can't pin his hair back and say, oh, this is always going to be a Lamar Jackson run or a pass or something anymore. It's a much more balanced attack between the passing and the rushing. So I think that all plays into kind of limiting TJ Watt a little bit.
What about Minkah Fitzpatrick?
What's up?
What about Minkah Fitzpatrick?
Minkah Fitzpatrick, you always got to worry about, especially with Lamar Jackson's accuracy issues. But at the same time, you've got people starting to return from injuries. Like Bateman's back, Odell's starting to practice again, Ronnie Stanley's coming back on a limited basis. Marlon Humphrey's even practicing now. Now the only one on a limited basis is Ronnie Stanley, so Marlon Humphreys could actually start, which is crazy with the torn pectoral. I think he had earlier, or excuse me, no, he had the tear in the ACL. So it'll be his first game back officially this year. I mean, so you're getting guys back that can make a difference.
That helps because, you've got to spread out, and that way you can throw away from Fitzpatrick. He's a guy you have to keep an eye out. And when Lamar Jackson is running, especially if you are moving and you're able to disrupt TJ Watt at the same time, he doesn't stop. He's the same kind of Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons type player that
he already has 6 sacks this year.
You have to be, if you get away from where he's at, and which Lamar Jackson is, of course, we all know Lamar Jackson can run. We know that. We all know that. But if he's running around still looking to pass to his weapons that have come back, you still have to be aware of how long you hold the ball, because TJ Watt will still chase you down, because that's what he does. He's ahead.
Nobody knows that. Now, the one thing that could be a problem too, if TJ
Lamar Jackson should know that from how many times they played each other.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the Steelers and Ravens rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know stuff going in. Both teams want to get each other. New. Both people are going to be chippy. This is probably going to have at least one on-field brawl. And that's just the way these games go. But now the problem, too, is if TJ Watt gets loose, Lamar Jackson still has that fumbling issue. He fumbled twice and lost one of them in the Browns game.
Mm-hmm.
If TJ Watt can get a hold of him, he's got a chance to do a strip sack.
Well,
Very
he's done
easy.
that multiple times already this year,
Exactly.
and
That's what I'm saying.
in won
And
games
it could be an
because of
easier
it.
target, I'm saying, with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, it
The way
could.
he holds the ball right now. He's not holding it securely as he should.
But that's the only way I see
So-
Pittsburgh being able to win this game is if TJ Watt personally puts it on his shoulders and takes it over and gets a strip sack
That's how they
and is able to run something for touchdown. Because
Kenny Pickett's got the
honestly,
Hebrews. It could be Mitch Trubisky
there's-
starting. We don't know.
it could be Mr.
Najee
Trubisky starting.
Harris is non-existent.
And I tell you what, that's a good thing if he's starting. If I'm Pittsburgh, I'd rather have Trubisky start than Kenny Pickett because when Kenny
Really?
Pickett has looked terrible.
He
Kenny
does look
Pickett has
terrible, but
been
this is
awful.
Mitch Trubisky. Remember, I don't know if you
He's
just
better
missed
than
that
Kenny
because we haven't
Pickett.
seen him in a while.
Mhm.
He's better than Kenny Pickett, in my opinion.
It's gloom and doom
Yeah.
up here in the Steel City. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. Gloom
Yeah,
and doom.
Like I said, Kenny Pickett, I was not a fan of, as we know, going back. I figured he would be a bust this year anyway. But I mean, I'd rather feast on Kenny Pickett starting. But I think either QB is going to have their hands full too.
Well, you know what's bad in Pittsburgh? When people find out that I'm a Cowboys fan, and instead of telling me to go F myself, they tell me, "Oh, you're lucky." That's when you know it's a rough season up in the Steel City.
Yeah. But a couple of weird random stats from the previous game from Cleveland. John Harbaugh's 150th win. And it's also Lamar Jackson's first game with 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, which seems a little surprising to me. But
That is surprising.
that's his first game doing that. But yeah,
All right.
we should
well,
win, but
from-
it's going to be, like I say, a tough game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Vegas has the spread at 3.5 in favor of the Ravens, so even they know
Well,
it's going to be a chippy.
the game
close
is the game is in Pittsburgh, so that
That's
always
true,
is
too.
why they'll usually
Mhm.
give
They'll
that
skew it
score
towards the
over
home
to
team
the
a
home
little.
team. It always does. So, well, now that we've
Mhm.
talked some Ravens football, it's time to get into your Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes.
And
Who
I'm
dey?
sorry,
Who dat?
Tennessee is who dat.
Yeah, Tennessee.
Because that was
Oh.
a rough one, buddy.
Yeah, and the reality is, and I think it's not just the fans, it's the media as well, and I think there's maybe even the front office as well as maybe even some of the players too. I mean, the season is, I would say, is essentially over.
I'd give you one more week. If you lose to Arizona, then
it's one thing.
yeah.
It's one thing to start off. First off, not only did you lose to Cleveland the first game, you lost badly. You played Baltimore a pretty good game, but then Burrow's not 100%. He certainly wasn't 100% against the Rams. Thankfully, our defensive line really exposed, particularly the left side of the ball, that Joe Noteboom is a terrible offensive tackle for the Rams, and Trey Hendrickson just had a field day on him. That was the only reason why they won that game. And as far as
You're not wrong.
Sunday is
Not wrong.
concerned, Joe Burrow again clearly playing injured. Also too, our game plan does not appear to really to get any open plays downfield at all. It just seems to be a dink and dunk offense. And then when you have Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd, now T. Higgins being injured with the fractured rib.
Mm-hmm.
And then also too, there was some give up in that game, and also I think some denial by the coaching staff, particularly Zach Taylor. There's no reason in my mind, while you're down 27-3 with 3 minutes to go, that Joe Burrow should be taking any snaps. This team would have been much better served if Joe Burrow started off the season on the bench, get fully recovered, and then let him go, and then see what happens after that. But also, too, let this be a lesson to other NFL franchises. When you don't invest in a backup quarterback, you're going to be forced to play an injured one. And I swear, if something really bad happens to Joe Burrow because we're playing him injured when he's clearly not 100%, this would be on the coaching staff. This would be on the front office. This is atrocious.
If Burrow goes down, you're probably looking at a clean sweep of the coach and the GM. If he gets another blown out,
that's the problem, Caleb. This is just like the Cowboys. There is no GM. Okay, Mike Brown is the owner and general manager of this deal. Duke Tobin is the Will McClay of the Dallas. Will McClay is the Dallas Cowboys. Duke Tobin is that for the Bengals. So they don't really have a true general manager. We don't really have a true scouting department. And so what I think needs to be done at this point, and I'm willing to go, again, just cough this season up, get ready for next season, take advantage of the easier schedule and see what you can do next year, because this season is not getting any better, and it won't get any better. And again, you don't have a tight end target now either, and you don't have T. Higgins anymore, or at least for maybe a while, or definitely not 100% T. Higgins. And it's cool that you have Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase can naturally just get 6 or 7 balls a game and somehow get 70, 80 yards because he's that good.
Especially how out of sync they've looked in the games we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense, again, I think has largely played really well. They didn't play particularly well this week against the Titans, obviously, as Derrick Henry ran all over them. But to me,
it's also Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's likely to do that to teams.
Well, it's Derrick Henry, and it's the fact that it's a very tired defense that doesn't get a break. But this is
when the offense is going 3 and out over and over again and keeping the defense out in the field, you got to have some sustained drives on offense to be able to help. Even if you're not scoring points at that point, just at least get your defense a rest so they're not going over and over and over again, especially when you're playing against a running back like Derrick Henry, which, yes, Derrick Henry is now on the downslope of his career as a running back, but at the same time, he's still a monster.
Right.
And he'll do that to you.
Passing touchdown of his career against the Bengals last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also, too, another stat to keep in mind, this is 4 games in a row with as loaded of an offense as the Bengals is without getting a first half touchdown. It's 4 games now. 4 games without a first half touchdown. That is unbelievable. In 2 games without scoring a touchdown at all.
To me, that's just showing how hurt Joe Burrow is and why he should not even be playing.
No, he shouldn't be.
So my question comes to this is, if the Bengals lose to Arizona, which is a possibility, Arizona can come up and surprise you. They've already shown that against my Cowboys.
If you lose 27-3 to the Titans, you could lose to anybody.
So if you lose
60-year-old looking Jake Dobbins,
if you're losing to Arizona, at what point do you shut Burrow down and maybe you try to get into the Caleb Williams lottery?
No, you're not going Caleb Williams lottery.
We're not going Caleb Williams lottery.
I know.
We paid Burrow.
Will you listen to my thinking on this?
You can't get the pick and trade it.
If you're able to get to that pick, yes, that's exactly where I'm going. You want to, unless you're not sold that Joe Burrow can stay healthy, excuse me, then you draft Caleb Williams and you have your next quarterback, and maybe then you trade Joe Burrow and see what you get for him. But if you really believe Joe Burrow's your guy, he's just had a bad season, your coaching staff didn't manage him correctly, and you think you still have something there, do you go ahead and see if you can get that number 1 pick, and then you can get a King Ramson's for it, because everyone's going to be wanting Caleb Williams. Everyone is going to be wanting him.
if they somehow get the number 1 overall pick, there's no way in hell they're drafting Caleb Williams. They're trading that pick away.
Exactly. And so you're okay with that. So are you willing for them going for the Caleb Williams lottery to get, because they'll get that draft pick and you know they're going to get a king's ransom for it. So if they lose to Arizona, are you all in the whole tank the season? Let's get in the Caleb Williams lottery because we're in the lottery and everybody can talk about, oh, can we get rid? Oh, are they getting rid of Joe Burrow? Are they going to draft Caleb Williams? No, they're going to trade the pick. We all know that. But at the same time, if they lose to Arizona, are you all on that bandwagon at that point?
100%. I'm 100% on that bandwagon because really going into this season, I felt this was the easiest part of their schedule. I mean, I thought this is considering all things healthy and good, and the Bengals that we've seen.
Yeah, they've got some rough opponents. Like you said, the Bills, I think, are in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, and you have the Chiefs coming up. You have other teams coming up.
The Chiefs, though, haven't been playing like the Chiefs as of lately.
Okay, but still, they're the Chiefs. They're 2-time.
They are the reigning Super Bowl champion, and you can't fault, as long as Patrick Mahomes is behind center for that team, you can't fault him. You really can't.
Right. So at this point, yeah, if they lose to Arizona, I'm already on that point now anyway. But if we lost to Arizona and put the nail in the coffin, sure, hell yeah. I would sit Joe Burrow until he's truly fully healthy, ready to play. And if we're, say, 4-6 at that point, I'm not going to sit him the rest of the year if he's fully healthy. But if he is not healthy at 4-6, then certainly I'd put him back in. But if he's not healthy when it's 4-6 or 3-7, I'm not playing him.
So your QB is going to be Will Grier.
Well, Will Grier got let go.
Or AJ McCarron.
The Patriots picked up Will Grier right before the Cowboys game.
Yeah. So
they let Will Grier go.
Right.
Mistake by the Bengals again. Sorry, Jeff.
No, it wasn't. I mean,
you were so happy they got Will Grier. Stop it.
You were.
Because I wanted him other than Jake Browning. That doesn't mean anything. And the only reason.
But now you got Jake Browning.
Well, the only reason why Belichick got Will Grier to begin with is
for the inside information. Yeah.
Inside information on the Cowboys. Yeah. I'm surprised.
Well, he already had Zeke.
Hasn't been cut yet.
True, he already had Zeke.
Well, I know. I mean, I'm just saying. Like, I think it's
didn't help.
Being facetious, but it didn't help. But the thing is, it's just like whoever we get, it's. I don't care. I mean, this season is essentially on life support as it is, and a part of me is like, yeah, if we, a part of me almost welcomes the fact losing to the Cardinals. I'm okay with it at this point.
Who cares? It's week 4. We can build and grow and become a different team. So fall to the ground, and I understand the records are different. So you can have a little more wiggle room when you're 3-1 compared to 1-3. But I'm saying you're going
3-1 teams have we seen not make the playoffs a lot.
Yeah,
there have been a lot of 1-3 teams made the playoffs. No, but at the same time, we'll see.
It happen.
And again, at the same time, though,
you got St. Joe.
Well, the thing is, if we go 1-4, you don't see very many 1-4 teams.
No, you don't. But then that's when you gotta change things around.
So basically, I was gonna. How hot do you think Joe Burrow's seat is if he has a bad season this year? Say he gets the number 1 draft pick, record type deal. Even if he sits Joe Burrow,
it's the coldest seat there is. He is not losing his job. It's even ridiculous. It's even ridiculous to entertain the fact.
Even if they have the chance to draft Caleb Williams.
Yes.
Okay.
Hands down. It is ridiculous to ask.
Just saying.
Well, apologies to you.
All right, now that we've gone through our teams, there is one game for next week that I think I would like to talk about, and I think this game is going to be a complete blowout of epic proportions. As in Miami, the Giants will be going in to play the Dolphins. So I believe that if Daniel Jones isn't benched in this game, I'm going to be completely surprised, because the Dolphins, if they don't score 70 like they did against the Broncos or more, I'm going to be completely, I'm going to be flabbergasted. I don't see this game as being even close. That's the only reason I'm even bringing it up, is because what the Dolphins have done offensively and the way they just got embarrassed by the Bills, I could see this game being an epic offensive performance.
I mean, Mike Daniel's going to go back up like he did in the Broncos and talk to the season ticket holders and be like, "Hey, you want to call a play? I'll let you call a play." Yeah, no. And another thing I heard the last time I was watching the Giants game, I think it was a Sunday night game against the Buffalo Bills, or maybe it was Monday night. They said Daniel Jones is a leading rusher, but not by choice, because he's running for his life. So yeah, the Giants should just get absolutely demolished, and yeah, Daniel Jones definitely needs to be sacked. But again, you kind of go back to the same QB question: who do you have to replace him?
Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would rather have Tyrod Taylor than Daniel Jones out there.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Bounced around the league too much, and he's done and a lot of his bouncing was because he got injured and then got outplayed by that. And I think Tyrod Taylor's a good, serviceable quarterback. I'd rather have him out than Daniel Jones, in my own opinion. Now, as a Cowboy fan, am I glad they're not playing him? Yes. Keep Daniel Jones out there. Let him keep playing until
wheels fall off.
I'm okay with it. Keep him out there. But this game I see being bad.
What's so bizarre is that, other than that random ass comeback that they had against the Cardinals, where they dropped 31 points in the second half, this Giants offense has done nothing.
They shouldn't have won that game against the Cardinals. That was just because the Cardinals. That's why.
I know. That's my point. They have done nothing offensively other than that second half against the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. Absolutely nothing.
Yep, this game is going to be bad, but that's the only other game I really wanted to talk about coming up this next week. So, were there any others that you guys wanted to jump into before we move on to the next segment?
Only I want to see the next Toy Story game at Andy's room.
I did not catch any of that.
The highlights were that.
I know Booger was on the call, so it was good to explain to the kids in the most basic of form what is going on. But other than that, there's nothing to me on this slate that really gets me too terribly excited. Again,
I'm excited
there's always going to be an upset here and there, which we'll probably talk about next week, but nothing on paper that really excites me.
The only one that gets me excited, Jeff, is going to be the Patriots or the Chiefs and Vikings.
Chiefs in Minnesota.
It's going to be a shootout.
That I could see being a shootout, and that could be the way the Chiefs.
Because neither team has a defense.
I could see. No, they don't. But this is a game that the Vikings maybe could sneak out, because the Chiefs have gotten lucky a couple weeks in a row, and this could be a game that maybe could sneak up and get them, that they finally just couldn't get past. And the Vikings need this win. They need it bad. The way Detroit's playing, they have to win this game to stay relevant in the North. So, yeah, that could be a very interesting game there at that 425 slot. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and take a break here. We'll be back here in just a moment, where we're going to dip our toes into college football before we jump into baseball postseason. Be back in a moment. And welcome back from the break. as we're going to get ready to jump into a little bit of college football before we jump into the MLB postseason. But before we do, one thing I forgot to bring up before we finished our NFL talk is all the words about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and everything going on there. And the question I wanted to bring up, is that this whole singer football player situation seems very reminiscent to me as a Cowboy fan of when Tony Romo dated Jessica Simpson. And she was at the game wearing the pink Romo jersey and clapping.
And the random Cabo trip before the playoffs.
Yeah, I was about to say, where's the trip to Cabo?
And that's the thing is there any resemblance to this? And as I hear from my wife and the other Swifties, is that, well, Kansas City's won both games that she's been at, so she's not a distraction. But Taylor Swift is Taylor Swift. At what
She's
point?
She's a bigger name than Kelce for sure.
Well, that's the thing is that Kelce's good on his own, but she doesn't need his money. She's fine.
Or his fame.
No, she doesn't need it. And people are saying, "Oh, she's doing this as a publicity stunt." She doesn't need to do a publicity stunt. I've seen what her tickets are going for, and it's absolutely absurd. And the people paying money for that are stupid. I'm sorry. You're stupid for paying that much money.
Kelly, you're stupid.
It's probably going to be, the breakup songs that she writes off of this. That's why she dates everybody, because then she writes a breakup song and then sells millions of dollars.
This is not going to end well for Travis Kelce. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when the album is going to be made that he broke up with her. And then we'll get new material.
We don't know. They may stick it out. Who knows? Maybe he put Mama Kelce up there in the booth.
Maybe he puts a ring on. Maybe Mama Kelce she's like welcomes Taylor into the family, and they're all good to go. And maybe he's the one that decides to put a finger on that. Put a ring on that broken finger. Who knows?
That finger coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is,
put a ring on.
It's like.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So then they'll be engaged for like 2 years. Then they break up, and then we get like not only one album, but a double-sided album. and it's going to be then not only released by Taylor Swift, then re-released by Taylor Swift with bonus songs, and then we're gonna have to buy all of it.
Since we have a lot of topics we need to get to, I'll wrap this up quick. But okay, let's say for sake of conversation, they get married. Is she gonna write their wedding songs?
Oh my
God. No, she absolutely will. Come on. It's gonna happen. She's gonna write it all. It's gonna happen. We all know it's gonna happen.
Well, the thing is, how do you think the check at dinner works? Considering Taylor Swift is like 3/4 of a billionaire, and then Travis Kelce is like 70.
They probably divide it up like most couples do after a while. It's like, okay, you got tonight, I got tonight. Don't worry about it. Whatever.
I'm sure they do.
Either one of them is like, okay, we're going to a restaurant. Oh my gosh, I'm in trouble now. I'm a millionaire. I'm a billionaire. They're not arguing over.
It's not like Travis Kelce's like, I can't afford the bill. You taking care of this baby because you make more money than I do. No, it's not like she's dating some like Joe Blow, like who works at a car wash or something.
That's some guy that just got drafted and is taken out by his NFL bootstraps, basically. This is like one of the premier tight ends we've seen in our generation.
Yeah, he doesn't have Taylor Swift money, but it's not like he's broke. He's a millionaire. It's fine. I don't think there's any debate. And I'm pretty sure with the money she has. Well, he might. A lot of NFL players do, but it doesn't seem like he has.
And then maybe that's what I'm saying. What if Taylor Swift is paying for everything? Then it must be true love. Then.
Hey, maybe she is. We don't know.
Yeah,
we'll
maybe
see.
Travis Kelce found him a sugar mama. Who knows?
I can't fault him on that. Anyways, well, now that we've got that out of the way, and yeah, everybody, you can hashtag Taylor Swift or whatever you want to put onto it. Hey, tag and listen to us. Let us know. Let us feel your hate or your love. Hey, Taylor Swift, just get the name out there. Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift. Get the tags. Get the tags in. Anyways, like we said, we're going to dip our toes into college football because really there aren't many like really good games that are going on.
There's games
outside
like if you school somewhere, but yeah, there's only one.
True.
Game.
If you're a fan of your team and that's the team you want to watch, and you're a big fan of Ohio State, ranked at number 4, going against Maryland, who is undefeated but they're unranked, you're going to want to watch that game. That game's interesting to you. But really, top tier games, the only one that's coming up is going to be Texas and OU. Both undefeated.
Red
OU
River
at 12.
Rivalry.
Red River Shootout. I will not call it that. I will call it the Red River Shootout the way it was meant to be called. Then they changed it. And no, I refuse to.
Yeah,
it's the Red River Shootout.
That, like hillbilly.
Red River Rivalry.
Yeah, you can't. I'm not doing that. Red River Shootout, just like when Texas A&M used to play, it was the Lone Star Shootout. That's what it was. It was the shootout. So, of course, biggest game for Texas of the year, hands down. It's Texas OU weekend. That's the big game. Coming up at noon. Texas is the home team, even though it's at the Cotton Bowl. They're the home team this year. This is the game Texas needs to win. Now, regardless of what their record was, this is the game Texas needs to win. Texas, if you don't beat OU, your season sucks. It doesn't matter what you do.
This is
you got to beat OU.
They could go on these win streaks and lose to like their biggest rival for 2 or 3 years in a row. I mean, Ohio State's coach is on the hot seat because he can't beat Michigan for 2 years in a row.
Absolutely. If they don't beat Michigan this year, it doesn't matter that Michigan's number 2 and one of the top tier teams. If they don't beat Michigan, I could see Ohio State's coach losing his job just because of that.
It's possible.
Being 3 years in a row.
Easily. The season would be a failure for Ohio State at that point. And so, and again, this is the biggest opportunity Texas has had to go to a national championship since the Alabama Rose Bowl game when Colt McCoy went down.
That was a rough game. I remember that game.
Yeah.
There's no better opportunity than what's been presented to Texas right now. And in my opinion, this team is significantly more talented than OU. OU defensively seems to be turning it around finally under Brett Venables in his second year establishing his defensive identity. Certainly last year was a rebuilding year. I think in a way this could be a partial rebuilding year for OU as well. OU has not been tested as of yet. However,
they played Arkansas State, SMU, Tulsa, Cincinnati, and Iowa State.
As you said, not tested.
Not tested. So, and again, the key will be is if OU defensively can just muster up mistakes from Quinn Ewers, which we have seen multiple times this year.
He can play to the level of the team he's facing. And that's
100%. Texas has done that a ton of times. And they even did that against Kansas last week until the talent discrepancy was so big where they pulled away against Kansas at the end, just like they did against Wyoming, just like they did against Rice. So the key will be is that I don't think Texas, if they come out with that flat mentality, this isn't a defense that you could just pull away from. Also, another issue to me for this game, and I don't think it's really being discussed a whole lot, at least not at the national level, a little bit at the local level. But Ja'Tavion Sanders, Texas's star tight end, who's arguably going to be a future first-round draft pick, is 50-50 in this game. If Ja'Tavion Sanders doesn't play in this game, that is a huge loss for Texas. He needs to be if I'm Texas, I really need him to be ready to go and play this game on Saturday morning. So I think the health will be the key for Ja'Tavion Sanders. I think that's the number one issue. And also, too, a lot of people have doubted the quarterback play of OU. I thought Dillon Gabriel, all things considered, last year had a pretty decent year when he was healthy. And I think he's had a really good start of the year. Again, he hasn't been tested as of yet. But I think Dillon Gabriel has something to show in this game out, and this is not going to be a walkover. With that being said, though, if Texas does not win this game, this season this erases what happened in that Alabama game, and this season is on the verge of turning into a failure if they don't win this game. This is how huge this game is for Texas.
Not all doom and gloom.
I think it is. Yes, it is. If you don't win
college
this
football,
game now,
I know one loss is
have to
important,
win.
don't get me wrong. And it's going to suck, especially to lose it when you're now this late in the season at 5-0 and go become 5-1. But that's not to say one-loss teams can't get in the playoffs, especially now that it's expanded again. So you still got a shot.
This year, we still have four. We still have 14.
It expands next year.
Excuse me.
So
next
that's
year.
when it does. And when if they lose this game, if Texas loses this game, you have to then hope on other teams beating each other and you getting in. It's easier if you have
destiny, but
it's easier when you have control of your own destiny. And this is the thing: this is Quinn Ewers' opportunity to really okay. He proved himself in the Alabama game. This is his time to step up, as we said early at the beginning of the season. This season is Quinn Ewers' opportunity to play himself into a first-round draft pick. He's right now, to me, a second-round draft pick. Second-round draft pick is quarterback, because I don't see him fully as a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't. I see him as a college quarterback.
Maybe, but yeah.
I see him as a good college quarterback, but I don't see him as an NFL quarterback. This is the game that he can bolster himself. If they come out and he comes out and has a great game, and if it's a shootout, that's even great for him too. But to come out and win this game, shootout or not, blowout or not, to come out and just put his stamp on this game is what's going to push himself, I think, more than anything else. Besides, if he can come out and put his stamp on this game and say they make it to the national championship and lose by a field goal, I think he can get himself to the first round if he puts his stamp on this game. He doesn't have to win the championship at that point to get himself into a first round pick. And I'm not saying he's a top 5 pick. I'm saying first round pick.
Right.
Because to me, he's a second round pick right now. But if he wants to
late
be in the mid,
early second.
exactly, mid to late first round. If he wants to get to that, he needs to put his stamp on this game. And okay, if he is able to lead the Longhorns and win the national championship, I think that bolsters him up to a middle of the first round.
I mean, for sure, if you win the national
Middle of the
championship,
first round.
you're in the news and all that good stuff.
I don't see him still being a top 5, but I could see him get to the middle of the first round at that point.
Late first round, somewhere.
This year is him building himself to get more money. This is how you do it. You play to win the money now. That's what you always are playing for.
But even on, first round NFL prospects for sure. But even from just a collegiate perspective, this is a legacy-defining game for Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers needs to win this game. This is more important, in my mind, this game than even the Alabama game is. And I think I think Texas will get it done. But you have to win this game if you're Texas and Quinn Ewers.
This is the ultimate divisional rival.
You could argue you got to win every game in college football, like we said.
Well,
one loss sucks. So
you
even
can
if
argue
lose the random SMU in 2 weeks.
You have to, but this is OU when you have the opportunity to get to a national championship. You have it all lined
this
up.
This is
for
their
you.
last ranked
You
opponent
have
for
to win this
the rest of the regular
game.
season.
You have to win this game.
You do, and it comes down to is who was your main rival. You have Ohio State, Michigan. You have you could even say USC, Notre Dame if you want to put that one in there. You got to beat your rivals. You got to beat them when they come to it. Texas OU, that's the rivalry, and to win the last game that you're both in the Big 12 before you go over to the SEC.
Put a stamp on it.
It's a stamp to do it, and Texas has the opportunity to do it. And actually, as I'm looking at it right here on the game stats, the matchup predictor on ESPN has OU with a 54.6% winning percentage over Texas, which I find a little absurd.
Yeah,
the way Texas is
looking,
that's
ridiculous.
To me, I find that extremely ridiculous, and that to me is showing people who aren't following that because the Texas running game with Jonathan Brooks has looked really, really good this year.
He's got like 600 yards.
He's looked fantastic, and to me, I don't see him as Bijan Robinson, but I see him being the follow-up to Bijan Robinson. Like, you weren't expecting to have Bijan Robinson again,
right?
The same way as when they had Jamal.
Generational talent at this point, what he's doing in the NFL.
Well, the last time they had a generational talent was Jamal Charles, and Jamal Charles was generational. And how long did it take to get from him to Bijan? And before that, it was Cedric Benson. Before that, it was Ricky Williams. I mean, you have those spurts in between where you have good running backs, but
of course.
You don't have anything. But Jonathan Brooks is looking good. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't expecting anybody to look good. He's looking good, and I think that he's being very undervalued as far as this, because for them to be picking OU 54.6%. Hey, Jeff, go ahead and look up the Vegas odds on this game if you don't mind.
Well, I was doing that. Let me say this real quick.
6.5-point favorite going into this game.
They're 6.5-point favorites right
6.5-point favorites. See, I'm going to trust Vegas over these ESPN odds any day.
No, for sure. I think what they're trying to say is, I mean, OU's got two running backs that have 200 yards basically, and a decent defense, like Jeff said. So I'm thinking
that to me needs no running back.
Fair enough, whatever. But I'm just saying, two guys. Now Notre Dame's got 5 guys, whatever you want to say. So maybe they can say, you can play the possession game, and the defense kind of handle holding down that offense, especially if that tight end, like Jeff said, is not ready to go, which is a big blow. He's their number 1 wide receiver at this point, if I remember right.
Well, Worthy's their number 1, but still, he's right up there. Yes.
Okay, excuse me. So pretty close then. So I mean, maybe that's what ESPN's thinking. But yeah, no, I'm with you. Texas is the far superior team and should win this game. Now, shoulds are always nice to have until you actually finish it. So let's see what they do on the field.
It's a game that I'm really looking forward to watching. And as much as I'd love to continue talking college football all night, which I would, I believe that we need to go ahead and pivot over. And to get into the next round of Major League Baseball, the Rangers, as we're recording here today, have swept their series with Tampa Bay, winning the first game yesterday on Tuesday 4-0, winning today 7-1, series sweep, and I'm happy that they were able to do that. I was a little bit worried, especially with that very last game of the season where they lost 1-0 against Seattle, ended up losing the AL West crown.
And
losing the number 2 seed in the playoffs.
You blame Bochy for that loss. He's got to understand how that team's feeling on that last day. And say, okay, I should make a pinch hit maybe. There's no pinch hitters in that entire game. He just went with whatever his lineup was and said, okay, they'll figure it out. Come on, Bochy. Like, you got to know your team by then. Now that being said, this is the best thing for that team to actually lose the division, because I don't think the team could have taken the rest. I think this team needed to keep playing in order to stay sharp and stay strong.
So
losing the division is a kind of good thing, but
so maybe in that aspect of what you're saying is not Bochy not knowing how to do that, but maybe he lost that game on purpose because he knew. maybe this is maybe it's managerial genius of him going, my team needs this motivation to battle through, to go through, that we don't deserve this. They need to earn it. And that's the only way to motivate him. And maybe that's what it was.
Process. That may have been the
process. Also, too, going back in that final game against the Mariners, you can't have your 1 through 4 hitters go through 115. It's hard to blame Bruce Bochy for that. But
as I'm saying, a pinch hitter maybe.
No, you got to go with your guys at that point. So it's hard for me to blame Bochy on that. However, I will say this:
get out of here.
In a weird way, I don't think it was by any means intentional, but in a weird way, how good do we feel about this team now going into Tampa and winning 2 games in a row, 11-1, and kicking the Rays' ass? The only reason that I got scared is because at the end of the game, both games, because of how shitty our bullpen is. Because I'm not going to say a game is over until it's actually the ump calls it final.
Until there's 27 outs, you can't call it over for the Rangers.
So to me, in a weird sense, I almost feel better about this team going into this Orioles series than I would as far as winning division and just waiting around and figuring out, okay, are we going to be ready to go? Can we handle?
And that's exactly my point. I don't think this team would have been good on that rest.
If we would have won the division, we would have been going against Houston in this next round.
Correct.
And Houston would have been coming off of playing hot after playing somebody and beating them. So I think this was a beneficial. Now we'll see. We will see coming up. And I'm actually happy that they're taking on Baltimore in this first round, because as I've heard from my Houston fans, my friends that are Houston fans, hey, they don't think we're going to get past Baltimore. You know what? Baltimore has not looked good in the second half of the season. They've looked beatable.
Oh, they're still Baltimore number 1
seed. They are the number 1
of the
seed.
Year.
True. But they haven't looked as dominant the second half of the season after the All-Star break like they did at the beginning of the season. They were able to maintain it along the way, but it's a young team that's not playoff tested. I look forward to going to that more. Exactly. Well, these are the caveats I'm leaning to, is that they didn't look as good.
First, but I agree with your second.
Well, good. You can disagree with it all you want to. I'm telling you, these are the caveats I see.
I know.
That they had some slacking down at the end of the season. They really did. And, of course, everyone had some low points at the end of the season. Rangers did when they got swept by, the Astros. The Astros looked terrible when they got swept by
the A's and Royals.
Against the A's and Royals. So, I mean, everybody had low points there at the end of the season. So it's not just the Orioles. Exactly. It's not just that. But they had some low points there. And they have a young team that's not playoff tested. So going up against them, then having the wild card break, and then going against the Astros hot going in, I think this is a better lineup, a better way to move into the playoffs for the Rangers. As much as I hated losing the division, I think this is the best way to go with it.
It stung, but yeah, I think it's the best way for this team to actually move forward.
Yes, because you're going against a Baltimore team that they are a young team. They're not a playoff tested team. This is where you can take advantage of it with your managerial staff.
This is the first playoff series win for the Rangers too since 2012. So just getting that little monkey off the back was nice too. And then, like you mentioned in our pregame, the last 2 times we went to the World Series, we started with the Rays.
But also, too, even though they haven't done it with the Rangers, they've done it with other teams. When you look at Marcus Semien, you look at Corey Seager, you look at Bruce Bochy winning 3 World Series championships. The Orioles
hasn't won anything.
Well, he's been to the playoffs a bunch of times and has
with
playoff experience. And the Blue Jays. So to me, even though they're wearing different uniforms, they still have that playoff experience. The Orioles don't have that at all.
This is a more better
in my
team,
opinion,
which is what we repeated earlier.
So the Orioles, they have a solid lineup. It's a very nice all-around lineup. But tell me one guy in their lineup that you're scared of, like, holy shit, I can't face that guy. In my opinion, the Rangers have 4 of those guys right now.
That's pushing it.
Seager, Young, and Carter. Do you see Evan Carter play this series?
Seager would be a rougher match. And Carter, I'm not doubting Carter.
Carter play this series?
He got a rookie record for 4 and 4 at bats, getting on base 7 times in his first postseason series.
But Josh Young play this series?
Carter. If Carter is not your opening day starting batter, starting in your lineup, number 1 in your lineup, I'm going to be surprised.
No, he definitely gets a chance to come back next year and be a full time.
Next year, not now, but next year, next season.
Yeah. Well, of course, he's your starting. He's not your left fielder next year. He's your starting center fielder next year. That's for sure.
He's looked good, and it's surprising we took this long to find him, but I'm glad that he's taking advantage of his opportunity.
Yeah,
and he's really proven himself.
And he gave us that little of the year, I think, to help us get us to this point to begin with.
It is. He was the spark plug that we needed to finish up the season, and the guy has played lights out, hands down. Yeah. And you have to keep striking on his hot streak, because the guy he and Aroldis Chapman hit home runs today to help win the game. And
Garcia.
Oh yeah, it was not. Yeah, Garcia.
No worries.
Sorry, my problem. Chapman did have a good run in the game, first game of the series.
Yeah.
Getting the 8th inning.
And it's very interesting to see now being our 9th guy, full closer. So I'm a little with Jeff. I'm not sure how I feel about him there right now. But he's closed the door both times. So
in the talk that I've heard about, and I kind of agree with this right there, is with Chapman, giving the ball when you have the lead. If you have the lead, he's been good about go ahead and closing it down.
A lead or maybe a 1-run game.
But if you give him the ball with a 1-run game, tie game, you haven't been able to really trust him at that. So
maybe
it is what it is. You reached out to get this guy to close games. Okay. So if this is the talk I heard about on the radio today when people were talking about what happened with game 1, bringing him in. Hey, you're up 4 runs. Bring him in.
I had no issue with Chapman coming in on game 1. I thought it was appropriate. He was fantastic.
I thought it was appropriate as well,
too. It was good.
So I know he's had his problems when it's been a close game, but hey, if your offense is running and you're growing well, bring the guy in. Let him do it.
Who has World Series experience?
He has World Series experience. And you can sit there and say, he did this in the regular season. But you know what? To me, Aroldis Chapman has that kind of Brooks Koepka aspect to him that he doesn't really seem to care about the regular season. But it's now the World Series. It's now in the playoffs where it actually matters, just like Brooks only cares when it's a big major or something else like that. And that's when they perform. So, if you get to the World Series and you get down to where you need to put him in, watch, Rolls Chapman will look like Mariano Rivera just to knock it
Yeah.
out because it's an actual
No, I will
meaningful
say
game.
the Rays helped us a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they had dead bats. I mean, they've had 32 straight
What about
scoreless
their
innings in the
fielding too?
season, and yeah,
Well, the Rays
At
helped
least
us
4
out
errors in that
completely.
first game.
4 errors in that first game, which, as you said, is
Yeah.
a win. But yeah,
right.
it looked
So, I mean-
terrible. The way that they played was terrible. The Rays didn't look like they even wanted to be playing. They looked like they wanted to be on
They
vacation.
look scared.
They did
Yeah.
not want to play. They didn't
They're
want
like,
to
we'll
be
get
there.
our new stadium next year, and we'll try then. Type of thing.
Right. And also, too, I mean, this goes back to the injuries that the Rays suffered and also off the field issues when you talk about Wander Franco and his situation with the 14-year-old girl. You talk about Brandon Lau having a season-ending injury, who's one of your best fielders. You have Shane McClanahan, who's your best pitcher, go down for the year. Those were critical injuries for the Rays, and it caught up with them. And so now looking forward to this Baltimore series, the rotation for me for Baltimore does not scare me at all. I mean, Kyle Gibson,
It's
Dean
more the
Kramer,
offensive
and Kyle
lineup that
Bradish.
gets them through. They have a steady.
Yeah, but again,
lineup,
like
but
I
it's
said,
not-
though, but there's not one guy who I'm scared of in that lineup. Not one. I mean, they're all very
well,
good
the thing
players.
is, you probably
but
have
there's
David Dunning going that first game because you've used now Montgomery and you've used
probably
Evaldi.
Dane Dunning will go game one, and he's looked really good, and then probably
I was like, I have no problem.
Montgomery, then Evaldi after that.
Yeah, and I'm saying those are
that's-
winnable pitchers and good pitchers to have going in a row. I think that's
And-
winnable.
Especially with Evaldi, look at his postseason experience. Oh
Yeah,
my God, he's
I think we
incredible.
owe Porter an apology, Jeff, for our rants against him.
Yeah,
Say,
you
what did he
both
do
have
for
had
me lately,
multiple rants
apparently?
against Evaldi. I'm the only
But
one that
now-
was supporting him here the
now
whole
he-
time.
Porter
I was supporting him. I
apologized
just
to Jeff for
I thought
saying
we were
Montgomery
rushing
wasn't
him
going to start
back.
game
That's-
one as well, but neither here nor there. So yeah, I mean those good lineup. Before we get too far in Baltimore, though, I do want to say though, hearts out to the Lowe family for what their mom's going through. So
Very true.
Yes.
hearts out to that. Prayers to them, and hopefully she gets better. But yeah, no, I mean, like you said, I'm excited for this Baltimore game too. Now our season series is 2-3, with a very ugly 12-2 loss for the Rangers against Baltimore.
It
This was
Now,
at
when was that
Baltimore.
series?
These were all at Camden Yards. So
They were. And at the
But
same
when were
time,
these games played?
I was happier
I'll
playing
go back and look. That-
Baltimore than Houston in this next round.
Nothing else. It's a different game. It's a breather of fresh air.
Exactly.
Because we've seen
Because-
Houston so much.
Well, we have, and we haven't had the best record against Houston.
Yeah, it's been up and down.
Houston's had our
Especially
number.
last year
Seattle's
they've
had
had our
Houston's
number.
number, and we've had Seattle's number. That's the
Yeah.
way that it's been. And that's
Mhm.
the way that it ended up with. And I would like the Twins to beat or soften up the Astros because we didn't. We played bad against the Twins in one series, and we played really good against them in another series.
The
So
Twins could surprise you. Like I said, they surprised us by winning against the Blue Jays.
Yeah,
They're-
the Rangers
I
never
mean,
played good
they
against
snapped
the
a
hard
like
field of the
we were
Twins.
talking
I'm
about
glad we're
before
not
this.
playing.
They snapped an 18-game post-game losing streak by winning Game 1 against the
Exactly.
Blue Jays, and this is
And
their
good-
first postseason series win since 2002.
and good for the Twins. Happy for them. I hope they do it again and beat Houston. I really do. I really hope they beat the Astros.
Oh,
But
for sure.
we'll go and play with it as it is because in the playoffs you can only go. You're playing against the best of the best at that point. You
Mhm.
can't help
Face-
that.
you
You
gotta face
have
who you
to
are.
play. There's no easy way to the World Series. There's not. And
Right.
talking about that, the Phillies swept the Marlins, so it will be the Phillies and Braves going into this next series. I think that's going to be a very great baseball series. Like, if you love baseball, that's going to be a series to watch. Is the Phillies,
Yeah,
the Braves?
Honestly, I feel like
Live,
that
you
and the
know, it's gonna
Rangers
be a
ones
heck
are
of
the
a
ones to
series.
watch.
Yes,
Next
I
one.
think the Braves, Orioles, or the Rangers, Orioles, and the Braves, Phillies are going to be the two series to watch because That's going to be great offense, great pitching. Like, really, the Phillies Braves
Two
series.
kinda even
I
teams
hate that
now.
I hate that that's happening in this. That should be in the NLCS. It really should be in the National League Championship Series.
The
It really
Dodgers are
should
going to
be.
be in the National Chargers. I'm sorry.
True,
The
and it
Dodgers
should
have
be,
better GM.
and it should be. But I just find this going to be so exciting of a series. I just
Okay.
really am so excited about it.
Mhm.
Dodgers, Diamondbacks. That's the thing, is that the Diamondbacks are playing so hot right now. If they
And
beat
they
the
got the NL
Dodgers,
Rookie of the Year in
Oh
Carroll.
my God.
if they beat the Dodgers, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh,
I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised.
I'm not even surprised
But-
if they take them to 7.
But
Yeah.
they only have 5. It's not 7.
Excuse me,
It's
yeah.
5.
Sorry, 5.
Yeah.
So I could take them to 5, but I expect the Dodgers to win. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Diamondbacks beat them. Would not be surprised. I fully believe the Braves are going to beat the Phillies, but I think that will go to a 5-game series. And
Yeah.
then Twins and Astros, I think will win in 4.
Yeah, I was about to say 4 sweep if you ask me.
I would like the Twins to win, but I think the Astros will win in 4. And Rangers Orioles, I'm gonna call 5-game series. Rangers in 5.
Yeah,
I think I have to go Rangers in 5 too.
honestly, as much as I like the Rangers, I'm gonna have to go Baltimore in 5. Like that young
Don't
team
blame me.
pushes
I
through.
don't blame you for making that pick. Don't blame me
Yeah.
for making that pick.
Like I say, it's a 5-game.
They're the
series, so
number
who
1
knows?
seed. They're the number 1 seed. They're the number 1 seed. I don't
Right.
blame you.
And like Jeff said, they're a very balanced team. But like you said, Porter too, they're a very young team and can be upset.
You're also a Baltimore Ravens fan, so
Yeah, so a little
Great.
Baltimore partiality. Little Baltimore partiality.
exactly.
No,
my
but
Texas
I mean,
Rangers.
Well,
to
hey,
me, I
I
think
made my-
that's the biggest toss-up series of all these
Yeah.
playoff games.
And I've
For
made
all
my
these
other
players.
picks. Hey, I just gave my picks to the rest of the game, so I think y'all should do the same.
I mean, I'm basically agreeing
Yeah,
with you.
absolutely.
Astros are going to beat the Twins. I think it's going to take 6 though, or excuse me, it'll take 5. And then you've got the Atlanta's going to win in 4 over the Phillies, and the
4.
Dodgers will win in 4 over the Diamondbacks.
All right. So my predictions will be the Dodgers in 3. I think they're going to sweep Arizona. I don't see Arizona standing a chance at all in that series. I like the Rangers in this series in 5, based on the way their lineup is playing right now, and I think the starting pitching actually could be the difference in that series for the Rangers. So I like the Rangers in 5. And then the Phillies and the Braves. I think the Braves are the superior team. However, again, when you're going against a defensive, or excuse me, a division rival like that, it's always going to be very tough. But I think the Braves are just a better team, and they'll win in 5. And then as far as the Twins and the Astros are concerned, the Astros have a tendency. I don't really like the way. We were talking about the flip side with the Rangers earlier. And another thing that concerns me about the Astros too, I think it's more of an anomaly than anything, but I think it's bizarre that they're only 39-42 at home. That is crazy to me. But I think the Astros are a flat out better team. Even though the Twins are playing hot right now, they took advantage of historically bad AL Central. I think the Astros will get that done and win 4 games too. But don't be surprised if many of the Twins give the Astros just a little trouble early on.
That I'm not surprised of at all. All right. Well, now that we've discussed a lot of baseball here, we need to get into everyone's favorite segment, What the F with Jeff. So,
And
Jeff,
I'll fill up my cup now.
we will be right back in just a moment with What the F with Jeff.
What the f?
And we're back and ready for everyone's favorite segment, What the F with Jeff. So, Jeff, what the F?
So I will go to the sports route, with this being an all sports day. But I am so fucking pissed with how the Americans played in the Ryder Cup this past weekend. It was a complete dog shit performance, top to bottom.
Tell me how you really feel.
Getting performance. This is they lost 16.5 to 11.5, and it wasn't even that fucking close.
They got pushed the last day.
They got swept in the morning on Friday, 4-0, and then they lost 2.5 to 1.5 to make it 6.5 to 1.5. It was fucking over. This team did not give two shits about going to the Ryder Cup at all. And then to have people like Patrick Cantlay not wearing his freaking hat because he wasn't getting paid to go to the Ryder Cup. You knew that going in. If that's such a big fucking deal to you, don't take your fucking invitation and go to the Ryder Cup. This team was focused, all they were focused on was getting a free trip to Europe, take their stupid little golf wives up there and have a good time, go to Patrick Cantlay's wedding the next day, which also, by the way, why do you schedule a wedding the day after the Ryder Cup in Rome? I know why, because you're Patrick Cantlay and you're a fucking douche. This team wasn't prepared to play against Europe. Europe was ready to go. They were firing.
Well, they haven't won across the pond in
years. They haven't won. No, they haven't
like
won
1993, 94.
Yeah, 1993 was the last time they won the Ryder Cup, and that was at the Belfry in '93 when Europe was at an all-time low depth-wise. This was pathetic.
It was bad. Joke. But if you look back at the last Ryder Cup, which was in the United States, that the Europe looked fucking terrible going against that, and the Americans won it handedly.
And one of the pitches that the Europeans used was, "You want to get revenge against the U.S. team to recruit this year."
It got to the point where these douchebags on the U.S. I was cheering for Europe at the end. I wanted Europe to kick our ass because this is a humiliating performance.
But how many
ready to go?
How many golf fans?
Douchebag standing in front of Rory McIlroy's line when he's trying to make the putt on Saturday. That is a bullshit move by him. That was completely unacceptable.
Well, how many golf fans are watching the Ryder Cup? Because I can tell you right now, one, I had extenuating circumstances, so I wasn't able to watch it. But normally I would, but I didn't get to watch it because of extenuating circumstances. But how many people are watching it?
So I get it. Chris Porter doesn't get to watch the Ryder Cup, then who cares how good America plays?
No, that's not what I'm asking.
I'm hearing that from a lot of American fans. Oh, I didn't watch anyway, so who the fuck cares?
No, I'm asking, what does it matter?
That's the mindset that we had coming into this. This is why we got our asses kicked.
How much?
Like yourself,
no, it's also more like you say, the garbage plays, like standing in Roy's
that is not what I'm asking. I'm asking
a wedding right after. That's the crap that needs to go.
I'm asking, why does the Ryder Cup matter? Is it to the level of the Masters? Is it to the level of the U.S. Open?
I feel like PGA.
How does that? Yeah, the PGA would like it to be, but
they market
why why should Americans care about this tournament? Because obviously, as you've just said, the American golfers don't care about this tournament. So why should the American public care about watching it? If they're going to watch that, yes, they won when they're playing on an American golf course, but when they go to Italy, they apparently wet the bed. So why should American viewers care about this when most golf viewership, they watch the Masters, the US Open, the PGA Open? They're watching the big major tournaments. So why are they even caring about this?
Well, maybe these players should start giving a fucking damn and actually represent their country as opposed to dicking around and acting like they give a shit about, I better be on the Ryder Cup. I have to be on the Ryder Cup. Oh, I hope being on Live doesn't cost me the Ryder Cup. And then they don't fucking show up. So, what? Yeah, that's a good point. Why should we fucking care? How come they act like they fucking care and then they don't show up? If they're not going to care, then just let me know. But
what other motivation is given to them, though? What motivation is given to them to come out and actually perform at this?
Pride?
Pride is
don't play the fucking thing if you're not going to care.
At the end of the day, what makes the world go round? The almighty fucking dollar. So, if you want more motivation from your players, you pay them more. Yes, it should be pride. It should be that. But you know what? They serve that pride during the Olympics. That's the reason why.
Than the Olympics. This is
no, it is not. No, it is not. It's the same level as the Olympics.
No, if it was, then this is much bigger than the Olympics.
If it was, then it would get more press than the Olympics, and it doesn't.
Oh, it does get a hell of a lot more than the Olympic golf. Yes, it damn well
it doesn't, because I had college football dominating it all weekend. That's why I didn't even see any golf this last weekend, even in fucking Vermont, because all I saw was college football. I was able to get the Alabama game over the Ryder Cup game.
It doesn't bother Europe that they're not paid. They show up.
It doesn't bother, but that's the way of the world. So if you want people to be more involved in it, you pay them more money. Pay them more money to do it; they'll be more inclined to do it.
So Europe. Why do you think free? Europe plays for free, but we get paid. Okay.
Why do you think all these golfers went over to Live? Because they got paid more money. More money.
Why did Patrick Cantlay not just go over to fucking Live then?
They had a choice.
Well, it sounds like he's just an asshole.
Yeah, everyone has always said Patrick Cantlay is an asshole.
Yeah.
No one is arguing that Patrick Cantlay is not an asshole. No one's arguing that. I'm just saying it comes down to money. It always comes down. Back in college, I have a degree in radio and television, and my professor at the time,
Dr. Haskins.
No, it was Dr. Haskins. It was I'll remember it here in a little bit. Yeah, Dr. Sanders. Dr. Sanders said no. Actually, it wasn't Dr. Haskins.
So the late great Colonel Sanders.
No,
I thought it was Haskins.
Well, I had both Haskins of them, but it was
Sanders.
It was
one of them.
It was
somebody.
What of your dude?
I'll remember who it was later on.
Dr. Jeff Amos.
He's not there. He left right after I was there because that's how long ago it was. But he always said that money is the answer to every question. And so during one exam, I didn't know the answer to the question, so I wrote money. And when I got back my test, he circled it and goes, "Can't argue with that." And he called me up to him as I left the class. He goes, "Hey, come talk to me real quick." I talked to him. He goes, "I counted that right. It shouldn't be right, but at the same time, you were listening to what I said. Money is the answer to everything because money controls everything." I go, "Well, all right. I'll take it on my
That's
test."
the true fact about the world.
Money is the answer to everything. Money can.
So, but why is that to motivate us and not Europe?
Well, I'm not saying they necessarily need to be paid.
I'm not saying that's the way that it
incentives
needs
for
to
winning
be,
the
but
Ryder Cup
that's
type of thing.
Well, then I don't want Patrick Cantlay or Xander Schauffele on my fucking team.
Well, they should have been on there to begin with, but I'm thinking a lot of people turned down the
at the
cup.
same way. Okay, as you're saying, why should it
People
be
turn
that?
down the Olympics. People don't turn down the Ryder Cup. That's the
Oh,
difference
BS.
between the
Jeff,
Ryder Cup and the Olympics.
BS.
Jeff,
No, it's not.
there's a reason why it's different
Look
between Europe and America. America is a capitalist system. That's the way it is. To get what you do, you get paid for what you do. You work to get paid to what you do. In Europe, yes, you get paid to what you do, but it's a different thing. You're doing more for where you're from. You do that, and you're more willing to give your talents to, your country, and it's more of a pride thing than it is getting paid. That's the way of the world. And yes, it should be a different way, but you know what? It's not. And at the end of the day, if you really want to win and you really want that, then you pay to do it. That's the way the world is. You pay to win.
Players on my team. I don't care how.
Then fine, get the different players on your team, and you're not going to get the best ones, and that's fine.
Good,
and that's fine.
Well, it doesn't sound like we got the best ones this time around, anyway.
You didn't. Obviously, you didn't.
Yeah,
I mean
that's what I'm saying.
way of the world.
People turned down the Ryder Cup.
That's the way of the world.
Stuck with who we got stuck with.
They weren't taking live players. That's fine. You didn't get Brooks to come help you out. Guess what?
No, Brooks played. He was there. Brooks was there.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, Brooks played.
I didn't pay attention.
Yeah, well, Brooks
not very well,
there.
I think, but he played.
No, I didn't pay. I honestly didn't follow any of it. One, because I was at a funeral. The reason why we didn't do our broadcast last week. So for the people who are wondering, I had to get ready and go to a funeral. That's the reason why. So, I mean, I didn't keep up with it. So,
right?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay looking dumb on that because I did not keep up with it because I wasn't able to. I was dealing with other circumstances, but I'm not like with the Ryder Cup when they came to America. When they played in an American golf course, the Europeans looked terrible and got their butts whooped. So we went
the rally cry was, "You want revenge against the Americans?"
Exactly.
That's how they recruited this year.
That's how they recruited. That's how they went, and then we went to Italy and we got our butts whooped. Right. To me, I wasn't surprised by that, and I wasn't offended by that because it's the Ryder Cup. Okay, we were in Europe and they held their home court.
Yeah. Which they've done, like we said, since like 1993.
Exactly.
They went over there. We unfortunately don't have a good history when we go across the pond, as they say. This is a weird name, always to call the Atlantic Ocean, I thought, but it is what it is. Just a jaunt across the pond. Just 3,000-mile ocean.
It was just a very, very disappointing showing for. Appeared to be a prime opportunity to finally win in Europe after 30 years, and they completely shit the bed. Am I not wrong to say that? Am I not wrong?
No, you're not wrong because that's what happened.
Yeah,
they shit the
bed. They wet the bed. They could have taken advantage of it, but to me, the Americans don't take the Ryder Cup seriously. To me, the Olympics is more serious to them than the Ryder Cup.
I don't know. I don't think so.
To me, that's just what I.
Well, considering
That's what I
Olympic golf
see.
has only existed
Right.
for a few. Well, as far as
It
the
hasn't,
early
but you get a gold
1900s.
medal for that for the Ryder Cup.
You're more remembered for your Ryder Cup performance than you are for.
No, you're not.
No.
By the regular.
are.
No.
Because the
No.
countries remember what people did for them, especially these kind
The
of smaller
regular,
economies.
maybe outside the
No,
United
that's
States,
wrong.
but inside the United States, you're going to be more remembered for winning the Masters than you're going to be more remembered for winning the Ryder Cup.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, of course, but I thought
Exactly.
the question-
So that you disagreed with
but-
me.
no,
So what does
but-
the Ryder
but
Cup
you-
matter in the
you-
United
you
States?
said
It doesn't
Olympics.
matter. It doesn't
said
matter. The
Olympics.
Olympics, if you win the Olympics, you're going to be remembered more because I guarantee you 9 out of 10 Americans don't know what the fuck the Ryder Cup is. But they can tell you what the Olympics are. And that, golf's in the Olympics, so I'll follow that. Yeah, because it's there. It's the Olympics. I'll tell you that right now. That's what's going to happen. And you can't argue with that because you know that's how American sports fans are. You can't argue that. You can't.
I am.
I'll argue it all you want. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong.
No, do you know? All right, then who won the gold medal then in 2020 for golf for the U.S.?
It doesn't matter because I can tell you right now that I can ask 10 Americans, just random Americans, who won the Ryder Cup the last 10 years, and all of them are going to not know who the fuck it did.
They might even say, "What's the Ryder Cup?"
Absolutely. But if you tell them the Olympics, they know the Olympics.
But that's apples and oranges.
It's not apples and oranges.
That
It's
argument
golf.
you're posing is apples and oranges.
So it's apples and
No.
apples.
Yeah,
You're
I can
comparing
guarantee
the
you.
Olympics, which encompass a ton of sports, has been around.
True,
for-
but I guarantee you somebody could tell you what medal the Americans got in golf in the Olympics before you could tell them what they got in the Ryder Cup.
Oh, BS. BS.
Don't be
Well,
salty.
Put that to the Facebook group. See, or the
Put
YouTube
it on
chat.
our poll. Make
If
a
somebody can put it into the poll. See what they find out.
You
Let's
put
go
it
for
in a
that.
poll.
poll. See what America says.
Yeah, exactly. Let's leave it to the group and let them find it. Let them discuss this because we can discuss it all we want to. We're already at a stalemate what it is, so
All right.
we can let
I'm
them
disappointed.
tell us what they think.
I'm
And it's
disappointed.
valid to
now.
be disappointed.
I'm
I said,
You can
but-
be disappointed all you want. We're telling you exactly what we think.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was gonna be a rallying cry for us, and then you go.
Well, it sounds like you also hyped it up.
I think you hyped it up more in your head
In your
than
own head,
what you
even.
thought it was going to be because when it comes down to it, in golf, especially in America, it's the Masters. The Masters is the Super Bowl. And it's not and that's the thing is the Masters isn't the end of the season. It's the beginning of the season, and that's their Super Bowl. And that's the sad thing for golf is their Super Bowl is the very beginning of their season. So if the Super Bowl doesn't go well, then it doesn't go well for the rest of the year because you have multiple opens after that. They would do better.
Championships.
They do. They do.
I mean, it's
and
not the Masters, but
the best thing for them is to move the Masters later into the season. However, you have so much. You have so much of a tradition of having the Masters in the spring that you can't do that now.
No.
And your most popular event is at the beginning of your season, so they're
it's not the
top
beginning.
heavy.
It's the beginning of the major championship season.
And that is the beginning of the season for the majority of golf fans.
Fine, I'll give you that, but it's not the beginning of the season.
Everyone doesn't follow golf like we do. Everyone doesn't. The majority of golf fans start at the Masters and then go from there.
Fine.
That's
I'm
what
not
they do.
arguing-
That's
not
what they
arguing
do.
against it.
You know it's the truth because that's what it is. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just saying that's what it
No,
is.
I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah,
That's what most do.
it is what it is. And so after the Masters, you get the major opens, but after that, most golf fans don't care. So when it comes to the Ryder Cup, they're burnt out, they're done, they're getting ready for football season. If their baseball team's into the, close to getting the playoffs, they're into that. But normally they're into football, or maybe if they're basketball fans, they're like, I don't care about any of the rest of the shit. I just want to get to basketball season or hockey season.
So then I guess I'm done watching the Ryder Cup. Then I'll stop.
No, there's to me like
I'll stop
Yeah,
if
watching.
you're
Just stop.
not saying for you to stop watching it, but I'm just saying I wouldn't put as much into the Ryder Cup because obviously the players aren't. The players don't put too much into it.
Clearly not.
But if you want to watch it, because hey, I know this is the last big tournament I can watch golf in because I have football going on. I know I have basketball starting up. I have hockey starting up. Baseball postseason is going on right now. Then yeah, if I want to flip over and watch some Ryder Cup golf right now, that's the problem with golf is that they put it at this point where there's so many sports that are getting started up or having their postseasons and everything else, and no, they're not putting emphasis into this.
They should move it up like 3 weeks or so.
If they moved it up 3 weeks, like you said, and put an emphasis in it, actually put the marketing and everything into it, and as I said with the Masters, but at the same time, you need to put it into a course that has the history that Augusta has. You can't just sit there and put it in and move it around all over the place. The reason the Masters has the stigma they has is because it's at Augusta.
Well, sure.
It's always at Augusta at that time, every year. I mean, COVID threw it off, but forget COVID. It's always at Augusta at that time. You have that every year. It's a consistent thing. So if they want the Ryder Cup, they need to put it at a consistent place, not bounce it around all over the place. Put it somewhere consistent where you can have a consistent fan base that they know it's going to be there. You know it's going to be at this time. You know it's going to have it, and you can go with it from there. That's why Augusta has succeeded as it is, and it is the Super Bowl of the golf world. Argue with me. Go.
Well, it
Do
can't
it.
be. It can't be at the same site because U.S. and Europe have to have their own site. So they do.
Well,
need
pick
to
one and one and go back and
Fine.
forth.
Then that could be an option. I agree with that, but it needs to be. If they were to do that, then it would have to be one course for America, then one course for Europe. And then if they
Pick one and go with it. Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, Europe would definitely have to have a home course, as would America. So, if we were to do that, then it would need to be. We would need to swap back and forth from those courses if we were to do that, and that wouldn't be the worst idea.
That's my idea. That's the way to fix it. If they listen to our podcast, maybe they would. But you know what? let's keep. We'll keep broadcasting, and maybe they'll listen to us, and maybe one day we can go. Hey, look back at in our first season, and you know what? That was a catalyst that started it.
Maybe Taylor Swift listened
to. You know what? Maybe Taylor Swift will. Taylor Swift, listen to us,
please.
If you do, Jeff's wife and my wife we'll be extremely happy. Taylor Swift, listen to us. We would be happy. Actually,
Taylor Swift.
I'll be honest, Taylor
That'll be
Swift.
happy.
If you don't listen to our podcast, I don't care. I'll be completely honest. I don't care if you do, but my wife would love it. So, for her.
For me.
All right.
There you go.
All right,
Okay.
gentlemen. Were there any other topics, sports topics you wanted to hit tonight?
I think I got my jollies off there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The NHL preseason going on. Stars looking
NHL
okay.
preseason's going. The Stars are looking okay. I'm ready to
I'll
get
say
into
now it's
that.
the preseason, so we'll see
It's
how it goes.
preseason. Hey, great to touch on that earlier, Caleb. Definitely wanted to bring that up as the season's getting started. So Stars have been looking good early on, but waiting to see how the whole season gets going on with that. Preseason's always hard to tell with that. And we do have the Mavericks coming up here soon. And the new look Dallas Mavericks.
and the new look Milwaukee Bucks.
Yes. New look
After the
Milwaukee
Damian Lillard
Bucks.
trade, that was a
Looking
wow.
Yes.
there. Like I said, I want the Bucks and I want the Nuggets in the finals right now.
That'd
Just
be
want to see the matchup.
That would be amazing to see. People are already calling because Drew Holiday has been now traded to Boston.
Yes.
So to watch, everybody's calling it the Boston-Milwaukee series.
Oh gosh,
And-
for the conference final.
And was it Emo Butler? I'm hoping he cuts his hair
oh my
before
gosh, what the hell?
start of the
is he doing
season,
with
but-
his hair? That is insane to me.
One thing, because I keep getting updates about trades and everything, but seeing what was his name? Cam Aiden from Phoenix.
Mhm.
Are you
He's
talking about
now with-
DeAndre
No,
Ayton?
not DeAndre Aiden.
Oh, yeah, DeAndre Ayton, yeah, he's gone now.
DeAndre Aiden got traded in the Damian Lillard
Yeah.
trade. He got sent to Portland.
Lillard.
Cam
Right.
Aiden. Pulling it up right now.
Yep, very true.
Cam Aiden getting traded over to our signing with Milwaukee. Cam Aiden, if you'll remember, he has a longer head. And he was
Longer
also. Well, I say that because
Well, I do like
what-
the fact that they were making fun of Bruce Bochy's head size, and they were talking
Yeah.
about during the game that Bochy got traded twice during his playing
Mhm.
days, and his head was so big he had to take his helmet with him and spray paint it to the new team's colors because nobody had his
Exactly.
helmet size. They also said his hat was the only hat they could fit a 6-pack of beer and ice in. He's like, there's a lot of guys you can fit a 6-pack.
Yeah,
but not a
because Bruce
6-pack of
Bochy,
ice.
because Bruce Bochy's hat size is 8 and 8.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, it's a big head.
Cameron Payne.
Cameron Payne.
Yeah, that was a good pickup.
What about Mr. Cameron Payne? I say, I think Portland got the best they could. They traded for with
I think
Damian
so
Lillard.
too. I think so,
And
too.
Milwaukee is 1,000 times better now. They got a big 3-headed monster over there. And I think that's better for Chris Middleton because I think he works better as the third option than he does the second option.
And then what's going to be interesting to see is if Adrian Griffin's going to do anything different coaching wise or anything, or if he's just going to be the yes man. If he's the yes man, then that's fine. But
Oh, he's a yes man.
yeah, that'll just be interesting to see. Former Maverick great Adrian Griffin.
Yeah, Cam Payne. I'm trying to find him on here, but it's not putting him on to that. But I know that he was a, for lack of a better word, pain for the Mavericks when he was with Phoenix. I saw that he had been brought over along with Damian Lillard. So
For that cap space and
Cam
play
Payne
time
was one of those.
and building up
He was
the
one of those classic
pitch for the
Suns.
Phoenix Suns.
Cameron Payne, he was the classic Suns douchebag who thought he won like 5 titles already when he hadn't won jack shit.
True, but he's coming over to Milwaukee where he's going back with Jay Crowder, who was with him in Phoenix. So they brought those guys in there, and both those guys are tenacity guys. Those are guys that come off the bench in certain aspects to piss off other players. Like Jay Crowder is a great defensive player. He's a great defensive player at Marquette, and he was great. I hated when the Mavericks let him go because I loved what he did on the defensive end. He has since, after he left Dallas, become a little bit more offensive savvy to add to his game, but still he's a defensive specialist. That's what he is. And he was with Phoenix when they lost to Milwaukee, and then is now with the Bucks.
Right, and so the Bucks needed guys like that, though. They need tough guys because I think the Bucks were a little too friendly in that they don't really have an imposer on that team. And enforcer, that's the word I was looking for. Now the Bucks have a douche in Cameron Payne, and then they have Jay Crowder right now. So who's a great.
I mean, Brook Lopez is their center, so.
But I was just saying the Bucks are the favorites to win the East since they have enforcers now, and
they have the enforcers. I think it's going to be a great Eastern Conference Finals to watch between the Bucks and the Celtics. I think that should be an interesting thing. But don't count out the 76ers
or Miami.
There's a lot of teams that are in that. Miami 76ers should be interesting in the East in the NBA. So even though we weren't supposed to do a sports gumbo, we got a quick sports gumbo in. So
yes.
It's that point of the night. We had a great conversation. Yep, Jeff's cutting out. But for Jeff and Caleb, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us on Next Round Sports. We'll be back with you next week, going into another week of everything that's going on in the sports world. NFL going on, and with the NBA season and NHL season getting started up. But we'd like to thank all of you for joining us. Cheers, and we'll catch you next week.